Welcome, welcome. Happy solstice, everyone. Blessings, sacred sun, gift of light upon each of us on this beautiful day. Thank you for joining us. Give a few minutes for everyone to hop on. My name is Mariah Ganessa. I am the founder of Four Visions. It's a pleasure to receive you all. Thank you for celebrating solstice with us. We have a very special event planned for you all today and are really excited to get to offer this to our beautiful community. So without further ado, I want to give a warm welcome to Isis Indriya. I'm so honored to have her here with us and to get to receive her beautiful wisdom and offerings through this sacred solstice divination. Dedicated to a life of prayer, culture, and community building, Isis is an educator and the founder of the Academy of Oracle Arts, where she teaches many classes alongside other luminaries. She offers classes in ritual divination, Egyptian cosmology, and Hermetism, as well as a 9-month apprenticeship program in Oracle Arts. She also leads annual pilgrimages to Egypt, hosts community gatherings, is the co-founder of many different projects, and a lead producer of The Compass at Lightning in a Bottle Festival. We are just so honored to receive Isis. She is a bridge builder who connects generations to wisdom carriers of various traditions, fostering culture and social evolution on many different levels. So she is a beautiful medicine woman and an incredible teacher, walking her path with a lot of love and light, and has offered this beautiful reading to us all today in honor of the sacred solstice time. And I'm very excited to get to experience this. I'm sure everyone here is. And so, without further ado, welcoming you, beautiful sister. Thank you so much for being here with us all, and very excited to receive from you today.
Mm, Thank you so much, Mariah, and the heart and spirit of Four Visions. And to each and every one of you, thank you so much for welcoming me into this circle with in this way on the solstice. I just want to acknowledge that I'm coming in from the ancestral homelands of the Nisenan, and this area is also known as Ustama. And I come also on behalf of my benevolent ancestors, Chamorro people native to the island of Guam, and also some of my Celtic Germanic lineage. So I come here to greet each and every one of our ancestors too. And in this light of the new day, we started this morning with a sweat lodge and just really opened the day with just a gratitude for the infinite luminous light of the sun. And I'm just so grateful to bring this forward at this time. So thank you for each and every one of your time and attention, a real blessing. And what I want to offer here today is it's a divination board called the Oracle Divination Board. I'm just going to share visually so people can see what it is. And this divination board is a little bit hard to see the template. It's a board that is made up of a variety of different blueprints of creation, including the planets, the zodiacal signs, some tree of life technologies, rooted in the tree of life technologies, tarot archetypes of all kinds. And it's a vision that came from what we call the Oracle crystal ball. She passed this vision into this template, and we as a community work with this in divination very consistently. And some of the roots of divination and some of the original origin stories is that everything is divination. There's a communication that happens with the wind and with the moment the door shuts, the time that we say something, and the moment the phone rings when we're thinking about someone. And there's just communication and information and dialogue with the natural world and the divine realm always occurring. And our job really is in the spirit of communion with the sacred way of life, and to learn, listen, pay attention, and show up and be of service. And that's in the ancient Egyptian tradition, that's who we are, our natural selves. And so this technology, we reference it as hanging out with the nation of the divine. It's like the way that we hang with this. And in some of the old traditions with divination, whether it was like pyromancy, reading the fire, hydromancy, reading the water, a lot of when for divination, we would come with inquiries and inquiries on what offerings to make, how to serve this time, how to support life moving forward. And so I want to share that this is a time for inquiries for this next cycle. The board doesn't ever respond in yes or no, just a little bit of like board logistics, primarily because it really supports and stands by free will. And so in this way, we always welcome inquiries in the form of whatever. It can be very specific, personal, and also collective. Oftentimes, if there's a personal inquiry to the collective too, there's an interdependent dynamic that's always occurring. So with that, before I do the opening prayer and we move into the divinatory process, I wanted to just check in, in the community, and have any inquiries for the board today. And if you do, please go ahead and type it in the chat, and then Madeline's going to help assist. And I just want to honor you, Madeline. Madeline's assisting here in the invisible realms. Madeline's going to help assist distill these inquiries into 3 inquiries that are of an offering for each and every one of us, our lives, and all our relations. So with that, please go ahead, type in your inquiries or your chat into the chat box. I'd love to see the... Oh. So in the chat, please let it jump right in, any inquiries.
So, Isis, these are questions for the board essentially, and can be framed in the form of a question that gives us direction for our lives. So, however, it's coming through people to ask these questions related to anything. It can be about anything, essentially.
Yes, thank you for clarifying. Absolutely. It can be about anything. It can be some inquiries that have, I'm just thinking about the today, like the turning of the wheel in the summer solstice. What are ways that we can be of service at this time? Or what are ways to empower or strengthen my life on behalf of, being a steward of humanity or anything? This is a great time to ask. It's really anything. So if there are any inquiries that you have for your life, again, the board will never respond in yes or no on behalf of free will. So it's not like a yes or no type of a thing. Pendulums are great for yes or no. So this is like the bigger picture in the story. So has anything come up in the chat? Yeah, please share them.
And,
Oh yeah, go ahead, Mariah, please.
yeah, so just wanted to clarify for everyone, it's the Q&A since we're on the webinar. So if you go to the Q&A section, you can submit your question for the divination board.
How can I align more fully with my higher self and my divine path?
Beautiful question. How can I align more fully with my higher self and my divine path?
Am I on the right spiritual journey?
Insight on the spiritual journey am I on? Is this in alignment?
What is the obstacle keeping me from fulfilling my purpose?
What obstacles are keeping me from fulfilling my purpose?
What is the block to me having a romantic relationship?
Are there any obstacles from my romantic relations? These are great inquiries. And these are inquiries that apply to so many of us in different ways. It's beautiful. What is seen as health from or for? For me.
What needed action is needed for me to better serve humanity?
What needed action is needed from me to better serve humanity? Okay.
Will my partner heal physically this year?
Will my partner heal physically this year? Beautiful, deep.
How can we now step into our authority as leaders and spiritual teachers with this shift?
How can we now step into leadership with our spiritual gifts. Okay. All right.
How may I best embody the power of Grandpa's sun on this solstice?
How many I best embody grandfather's son, grandpa's son on the solstice. Okay, beautiful.
What are we collectively birthing at this time?
What are we collectively birthing? Okay, so now let's move into distilling these. And so this is Madeline's great gift.
Into maybe 3?
Yeah, so Madeline's going to take some time to distill them into 3. And while she does that, I'm just going to share a little bit more about the board. And if you have any final inquiries you want to put in, now's the moment. And then we will work with 3. So another thing about the board that I wanted to share, and right now what I'm doing is I'm working with like different herbs and plants to assist my service work at this time. One thing about the board too is I just want to share on this altar, we also have 11 different plant support medicines. We have camphor, frankincense, cedar, rose, palo santo, copal, blue lotus, sage, tobacco, myrrh, and yeah, all of those medicines. And then we have a ball, Nefertiti, some sweet chocolate, and some tools and a cauldron. And so with that, while Madeline is distilling these, I just want to invite you to please bring forward a glass of water. If you don't already have one with you or a bottle, you can put the top open. Please go get a glass of water if you can. And part of it is because through this reading, you know, as we are all, you know, made of water, we come from water, we return to the water. Water is life, Mini Wachoni. The water receives the transmissions, and then we drink of that water in our relationship with these transmissions. So please go ahead and get a glass of water if you haven't already. And with that too, on this board, there are a lot of times information from, you know, previous lives or soul contracts or communication from the other side or communications to send to the other side can come in. So it's a very like comprehensive process. And usually in this process, we have a series of tools. We're going to go through them. We have, and Madeline's in the distillation process. We have 4 dice, and these 4 dice are planetary dice, numerical dice, directional dice, and astrological dice. And then we have a black tourmaline. Black tourmaline is for what wants to be tended to cleared. Then we have a ruby, and ruby is perspective. We have mirror, and then we have an ancestor skull, an Ankh, Sekhmet on the throne, and Lilith. And these are all the tools we're going to be working with. So as these questions are being distilled, I'm going to ask those questions, and then I'm going to invite us to go into a collaborative process of tossing the dice and placing the tools. And so one thing I'll say is, somebody tell me when to toss, and then you write in the chat, toss, Madeline reads it, then I toss. Somebody let me know when to land. And so there's like a little bit of an interactive process in that. Okay. So now I'm going to do the opening prayer. And this opening prayer is to open up the field of the divination reading. And you're going to hear some Kemetic names that I'll be speaking. They're not people. I just want to clarify that they're cosmic forces and universal forces. So I'm going to speak these names. If they're like, what is that? I just want to let you know what it is. And I'm going to do this opening prayer. And then we're going to move right into the inquiries and the readings. Okay, greetings and gratitudes to these ancestral homelands of the Nisanan, this area Ustama, and all the ancestral homelands that are gathered all over the world today on behalf of the summer solstice at this time of this reading. To the 4-legged, the 2-legged, the swimming ones, the standing ones, the winged ones, the insect beings, all the flora, the fauna, all the holy relations and the emerald earth that are connected here today from this reading. Greetings to you. And greetings to each and every one of our benevolent, elevated ancestors, our guides, our allies, our holy guardian angels, and our highest councils that have brought us here together at this time on this day of the summer solstice. Calling upon the holy ones of the 8 directions in the 3 worlds, to you, Aset, in the east, and in the southeast, Apet, in the south, Serket, In the southwest, Shen-Ur. In the west, Nevitet. In the northwest, Gr. In the north, Neith. And in the northeast, Yusatet. In the upper world, Seshete Hetertenut. In the netherworld, Asar, Ptah, and Ampu. And in this middle world, Geb, Shu, and Tefnut. In honor of the mystery teachings of Tehuti, in service to cosmic law, cosmic truth, cosmic order, Ma'at. Thank you to the Oracle and the Oracle Council. My humble prayer here is to please help me be a clear instrument for anything you have to share today on behalf of the inquiries on this time of the summer solstice. And in this way, please help me be a clear vessel. Please channel through me with ease and grace. And may everything that I share here somehow and in some way be of great service to each and every one of us, our hearts, our minds, our bodies, and our spirits. And in that way, support us, be useful, be beneficial, be practical, be integratable, and as always, of service to our relations, our personal selves, and all of our relations. And in that way, may everything that's shared here be an offering into the web of life on behalf of the liberation of all beings, human and more than human, tending to anything that needs to be tended to from the past, making genuine offerings in this present moment to create more beauty for infinite generations into the future. Augmentaru, augmentaru, augmentaru. Blessed be, and so it is. Okay. All right. So our inquiries are, actually, real quick, I'm going to run the tools over. 2, 3, 4. Our inquiries are,
how can we best honor and embody the elementals at this time of the summer solstice?
how can we best honor and embody the elementals at this time of the summer solstice?
How can we best align with our divine purposes?
How can we best align with our divine purposes?
What are we collecting?
What are we collectively birthing at this time? Okay. How can we align with the elementals at this time of summer solstice? How can we bring our gifts in service at this time? And then what are we collectively birthing? How can we honor and embody the elementals? And can I have those right here next to me? Okay, great. Beautiful. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up this board, the divination board here. I'm going to spin it clockwise. And somebody in the chat, tell me when to stop. Just say stop. Okay.
Oh, someone said stop.
Okay, great. Beautiful. And now I'm picking up these dice here. Again, zodiacal, numerical, directional, astrological. And in the chat, rolling it right now, somebody tell me when to toss. Just say toss. And then with this black tourmaline. Oh, one thing really quick. Timing. That's important. Okay. So with this black tourmaline, somebody in the chat, tell me when to land. Say land. With the ruby, in the chat, tell me when to land. Lemurian, same thing. Land. Next, the ancestor stone. Now the Ankh. Sekhmet, tell me when to land. And finally, Lilith, tell me when to land. Land. All right, great. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go for it and do the reading. First, I want to acknowledge today is Thursday, June 20th, 2024. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to send the photo of the board to Mariah and then to Madeline to put it in the chat so you guys can look at what here. I need to do that right. Okay. Okay, and then we should be able to do this Zoom. Okay, we'll send when it's ready. Okay, you should be able to zoom in and look at it if you want to, no pressure. And I'm going to go ahead and give the reading. Now, sometimes the board provides a lot of different rituals and rites. This is recorded. You'll be able to watch in the future. You're welcome to take notes. The first piece, which are the tools indicate the bigger picture of the story. And then because you never know where the dice are going to roll. So you toss the dice and then there's, the divine's involved always. I mean, the divine's involved in everything, but in this context. And then the tools that were placed in landing indicate how to interact with the story. So that's going to be more specific. Now, again, it's Thursday. Today's the day of Jupiter. So there's an expansive quality. Jupiter also is very much about teachers and also guides and teaching and having like somebody that we are in communion with to assist us on our transformational healing up-leveling path. And then, of course, it's summer solstice, which is the most amount of light, the outpouring of the information of the light. And mathematically, in the way that we do the numbers, this would be the day of the Hierophant. And in this context, the Hierophant is, again, related to teachers and study, and also is related to becoming vehicles for, and ultimately empty vessels and vehicles for communication with these universal forces, and how to be a divine house and embodiment to commune with like the elementals and receive instructions, information, pass them forward, and bring it back and forth. We be entering into communing with the advisory council, an advisory council in human form, and then advisory council in more than human form. So this is the kind of connection of the day. And also our altar is lined up with blue lotus. So blue lotus symbolically in this altar represents medicines to help us connect with liminal states, the states in between the visible and the invisible, threshold states of the seen and the unseen. That dreaming awake time, like right before you go to bed and you're like halfway a dreaming world and halfway awake. Like that location. Blue lotus is a medicine that we work with very regularly at this altar. So the board wants to just highlight that as a plant ally for this reading. Okay, so first and foremost, the board wants to really acknowledge our three questions: how to best embody the elementals at this time of the summer solstice, how to align with our divine purpose, and what are we collectively birthing at this time. The board wants to first acknowledge that it has the symbol of the south, and the south in this context is Cirquet, which is the time of summer solstice. So that's very specific on the sun. I've never actually seen anything that literal, but it's really wild. And it's referencing that there's a lot of like information coming in today, tomorrow, and the next day. It's specifically saying today and tomorrow, actually. In the ancient Egyptian tradition, they talk about when there's like light coming from the sun, light coming from the moon, light coming from the stars, that it's an outpouring of universal teachings and wisdom that are relevant to support the evolutionary process. So the board wants to first and foremost say on this summer solstice ends, also tomorrow, specifically, we have the full moon tomorrow. The outpouring of the light is information and also has the ability to be in the realm of instructions. So it might be worth paying attention to and noticing what kind of transmissions or ahas or information that is coming to you that feels new, nuanced from the imagination, from the imaginal realm, that feels like it's something that's like emergent. Pay attention to these emergent ahas. Also too, because there's a lot of potential energy that, in one reference, sometimes it's referenced in this altar, the potential energies like, like kind of coming in and out of everywhere. And this is referencing potential energy that we become like stewards to help move through with grace and ease, and how to commune with all this potential energy that's pouring out with the sun and even pouring out with the full moon, that we can work with to assist us on our paths of service. It's like the first thing the board wants to say. And if there's any sort of like conflicting relational dynamics, whether it's conflicting energy with self or conflicting energy with another or conflicting energy with a situation, a really simple ritual you can do, we do this all the time. It's called the luminous light ritual. It's like super easy. All you do is this. You sip in the light of the sun, you go like this. When you sip in the light, you open up the sun in the heart. And you cultivate and strengthen the sun in the heart. You sip it. And then when it's full and you exhale from the heart, you imagine rays going out in all directions, exhaling anything that is not useful or helpful for your path moving forward. Just give it back to the light. Literally takes like a matter of 2 seconds. I've been doing it multiple times today. This is a great time to do it, and tomorrow. Again, you just sip in the luminous light into the heart. Exhale anything you want to send back to the light, back to the light. Now, it's not like any sort of malevolent thing. It's just like, thank you, our work is done here. The board is saying today and tomorrow are awesome days to do this, because this helps to remove a lot of questions, inquiries that came up earlier were around obstacles or blockages. And this is referencing any obstacles or blockages. Like, sometimes we need to know what they are, and sometimes we don't. Sometimes we just need to send it back without even needing to know what it is, and just send anything that feels like a block back to the light where it came from. And the board just wants to really highlight this as a valuable process. And this is also a great way with the sipping of the light of the sun to ground new information that's coming from the cosmic family, the cosmic womb of the, we're Earth floating in space with all these other celestial bodies around the sun moving forward in motion. It's a great way to ground all this potential energy. And the board also wants to reference grounded energy is going to help receive information that's emergent and nuanced and evolutionary. So whatever practices that you can do to be grounded and stay grounded are of great value. The simple grounding ritual that we do is just like this. You're welcome to work with this, or just go put your feet on the earth, that too. It's just like this. Really simple grounding ritual that you can take with you also and work with. That's the first thing. The other thing that the board wants to reference for the first dice is notice rhythms, the rhythms that are moving around in the next 2 days. And anything that feels like a dart or like a poison or like an obstacle, just, if you wish, send it back to the light with the luminous light ritual. And this is a practice you can do whenever, even in the darkest night of the year, winter solstice. Doesn't matter when, because we all have a communion with the sun at any moment. Even if we live in Alaska and we barely see the sun, we still know what the sun looks like and feels like. It's just a way to kind of keep things moving. Not to bypass, but just to keep it moving. Okay, that's the first dice. The second dice, again, these are the bigger pictures, and then we'll go deeper into the inquiries. Libra. Okay. The second dice is saying, how can we best honor and embody the elementals? How can we align with our divine purposes? What are the collective birthing at this time? The first thing the board wants to reference is, it's almost like this transition and change from unjust dynamics with the patriarchy and how that inevitably is changing and has to change. There's this like simple thing that we can attune to in our consciousness that's like almost like empowering the matriarch to meet with the like empowering the matriarch and like the partnership and the union of the two, because summer solstice is also connected to the sacred union, the Hieros Gamos rites too, where there's like a union of these two matriarch patriarch, like more matrilineal focus. There's a union process that can occur. And there's the dynamic with some of the patriarchal energy that is like not what we stand for, that's like, you know, has malevolent qualities. There's a transformation occurring, you know, and there's this leading together energy that is something that is coming online, leading together in partnership, leading together as community, leading together as people. And what does it mean to come into union, sacred union, the time of the Hieros Gamos, within ourselves, of course, always first and foremost? Where do we feel that sacred union within? And then also with others. And so in this like union field, there's something that is built and cultivates in the space between. The board wants to say that like part of this is like just treasuring our relations. There's like a real treasuring of our relations, even the ones that sometimes are challenging. It's like treasuring the fact that we are in relationship with life, in relationship with other humans, in relationship with the elementals, in relationship with being a spirit walking inside a body in this emerald earth. This like feeling of like this time of union of the solstice is like treasuring our relationships, you know, and taking time to think about that, like feel into that, like feeling in, and it's like almost like a revival of the feeling of treasuring the preciousness of life and the wealth of our relationships, even our challenging ones. And there's something to this that has the ability to kind of open up this spark of, you know, aligning with divine purpose, because then this person might come into the field that we hadn't thought of, that we even treasure, or like connected to what's being birthed at this time. There's something about what's being birthed at this time is connected to like a deep feeling of the preciousness and the treasure of life while we're here in it, you know? And then also to this communion with the elementals and embodying them, a really simple practice for embodying the elementals. That's also a way to, you know, when we think of like the Holy Father energy, you know, like there's the Holy Mother energy, there's the Holy Father energy. And in this dynamic of the Holy Father energy, one approach is like getting to know the systems and the structures of the cosmos in this context. So one thing I want to just pass along right now to commune as a way to like awaken the embodiment of the primordial elements inside of our body is this simple thing. You just do an upward facing triangle here. I did it in my interior temple before we started. This is the primordial fire in the body. Primordial fire, primordial water, primordial air, and primordial earth. And you just bring it up to a compass. And then you just open up into the feeling of being an embodied expression of the elements. And so we'll just do this one more time. We all know what fire feels like and looks like. Primordial fire. We all are in communion with water every day. Primordial water. We are all breathing the breath of life. Primordial air. We are physical on the earth. Primordial earth. And we align ourselves with these primordial elements, and then we bring it up into a compass, and then we just open up the field of ourselves as a full embodiment of the elements. Really simple. And part of it is, you know, communing with your own memory palace of the fire, your own memory palace of your relation with the water, your own memory palace of the relationship with the wind and the breath of life, our own relationship with the soil, the rich soil of the earth and the mineral beings. This is like a really simple way that is also strengthens our relation with what we are made of as the elements, that also are expressed in everything and everyone everywhere. And this is part of this moment of like birthing for humanity, is like we're birthing into our remembrance of being made of the cosmos and made of the earth as humans. and how to tend to the interdependent relationships, the natural world, the divine realms, the cosmos. So this is a little bit about that. There's also this dynamic too in relationship to the Holy Father energy is getting to know the organizing principles of creation in some form. Some cosmology that you like, whether it's like ancient Egyptian cosmology or Tibetan mysticism or like there's so many. You're our own like Chamorro people, island people. Something that connects us all is our communion and relationships with the elementals of life. That's something that unites us. You know, we're made of the elements. The elements help everything grow, and we return to them. You know, it's just like who we are. So getting to know these organizing principles and these creation principles that are related to the holy elements of life help to embody it too. And then of course, spending time with the fire, spending time with the water, spending time to every breath that we take, and then getting to know the majesty of our body and that is of the body of the earth. So that's the second dice. I'm gonna move a little quicker. Oftentimes these readings they could take up to 2 hours, but we're gonna move a little bit quicker. Okay, next thing with the dice. Here, Venus, Mercury, number 1. About this, you know, this time of summer solstice too, which is connected to our divine purpose, like to the journey of birth. The board just wants to like highlight for a moment, you know, value of sending healing energy to our ancestral bloodlines. You know, it's just helpful in general, you know, like doing our ancestral healing, our ancestral medicine work is going to be so helpful for what is being birthed at this time. And but the board just wants to highlight, you know, there are lots of different places, people that we can connect you to, and organizations that really focus on ancestral healing and medicine 100%. And you know, part of what the board support is like having a conversation with your bloodlines of just being like, you know, I thank you from where I come from. I'm still learning about you, or I know you deeply, or I know the stories. I don't know any stories, whatever it is. Thank you from come from on this summer solstice day. You know, hello to the sun. My name is Isis Indriya, born in Arizona, raised on the island of Guam. I come from the Guzman, you know, family Rose Horse lineage. I come from Mackey, whatever you want to do, but like introducing thyself to the sun and like standing on behalf of our ancestors and our bloodlines and having a conversation with our bloodlines. You know, as I'm birthing in this new light, bringing in this new light as I'm birthing today, I just want to send this healing light of the healing golden light of the sun to all of my ancestors and my bloodlines and where I come from. And I don't know necessarily every single story of what happened, but I know that sending healing energy from my blood, in my blood and in my bones and where I come from, to support this time of birthing. The healing that goes back supports the birthing moving forward, because I want to birth what's collectively birthing. I want to be a part of collectively birthing healing of the ancestral dynamics that have happened between us. You know, my relations with yours and what has happened in the stories before us. We want to birth tending to the healing of that. So the board wants to say, you know, call in the infinite light of the outpouring of the summer solstice if you want. Sip it in too, and like sip that healing energy into the bloodlines, into so that we can like stand up together on behalf of. And it's also referencing too that there's the way to activate the process of this channel and this I imagine imagination of working or doing anything is to just visually in the mind that it's happening. So like as you're sipping in the light of the sun, Imagine it going, you know, your left side, all the ancestors of your matrilineal side, and your right side, your hands, all of your father's line. And you like light of the golden light, the healing energy, and you can blow into your hand left to all of your mother's line. You inhale and sip in the light, and you send that healing light of that energy into your father's line. And you visualize, imagining it moving. If you like, kind of bring your hands back like this, you know, the light of those threads going to every single, like, grandma, grandpa, great grandpa, cousins, everything before. And it's like sending in this infinite light to bring that healing back. And then we stand up, you know, in a spirit of forgiveness and healing. This is what the board wants to suggest to do. Again, we all have free will. Do as we wish. I'm going to offer some cedar here. The cedar is what medicine is relevant for this. If you want to work with cedar, if you already work with cedar, if you don't and you want to give it a shot, highly recommend it. Okay, one more dice and then we'll move to the tools. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. Guardian. Okay. How can we best honor and embody the elements? How can we align with our divine purpose? What are we collectively birthing at this time? So the first thing that the board wants to suggest is, you know, taking some time to talk to the elements themselves. You know, it's like you're having a conversation, you're having an intimate conversation with your relationships. Like, holy fire that's in the sun, how are you doing what you do? You know, like, how does that work? You know, like, a lot of the old traditions, we like adore the holy elements of life. They're like, you know, sun, the light of the new day that pours forward, the infinite light that helps everything grow. Thank you for the fire that you are, that our celestial bodies move around and turn to like continue life moving forward. Thank you for the way that you transform everything that needs to be transformed into the fire, the way that you help cook what I eat every day. Thank you. You know, like, talk to them. Talk to the water. Holy water spirit, thank you for me. Thank you for me being who I am because of you. You know, thank you for the way that you purify me in the morning when I take a shower. Thank you for the way that you help me make a good soup so I can feed the community. You know, thank you for the way that you like support me to like surrender into like the ocean and like dissolve into the great mystery. Holy air, the breath of life that is like the spirit of the four winds, and how you move about and you support a deep inhale and a deep exhale to really center thyself, while you help me bring myself into harmony with every conscious breath that I take. Thank you. And thank you for the way that every time I make a prayer, it sends these prayers into the smoke and disappears into the unknown. And I don't know where it goes, but I trust that it's giving something somewhere, you know, like this. And then to the earth. Talk to the earth. Talk to the air. Talk to the fire. Talk to the water. Dialogue. Have a conversation. And like, from the spirit of adoration, where you're just like filling up your heart so much because of your genuine like love and adoration for these elements of life, these elements of life. You know, it's like, we always talk about this in our school, like, who doesn't like to be adored? Everybody likes to be adored, you know, we all love it, especially with like adored that's like genuine, like a genuine adoration. It's not trying to get anything from anybody. It's just like, wow, you know, like this. This is a beautiful way to honor and embody the elementals. Like, talk to them with adoration, where it's just like love is pouring out and through you. And the quote like trick to that, and we're not doing it for the trick, But the trick for that is then we just get filled up with adoration and awe and wonder for the holy elements of life, the elemental beings, the spirit of the fire, the spirit of the water, the spirit of the air, the spirit of the earth, and then the ether, the akasha. And then from there, all the permutations of the holy elementals of life and all of their varying forms. And in this way too, it cultivates this like love through the power of the voice and the divine utterance of genuine adoration that has the ability to support alignment of purpose. Because we're just like, when that feeling of adoration, of awe and wonder emerges, it's almost like this emergent nature from the inside shows up of the aha. Like, oh, wait, wow, that came out of my mouth, and then be like, oh my gosh, that's connected to what I feel called to do. You know, like this. It's just like, whoa, it just like starts to happen. And in that way, the divine purpose, the purpose why we chose to be born in the ancient Egyptian tradition, we all chose to be born for the primary function of transforming, period. We chose to come here to transform and heal and go through the life that feeds death, that feeds rebirth again. And in our journey of transformation, it has different expressions of how that works. Like sometimes it might be like washing dishes at the Gravity Bar, which I did at one point, or like, you know, I was like a dishwasher for like good food, and I was like healing my body through the food that I was eating, through washing the dishes. Washing dishes made so I could afford to get this good meal. You know what I mean? To like being a house cleaner. Like I was a house cleaner for a while, and I was transforming my relationship with sexuality because it was for a tantra house through house cleaning. And I was like healing and transforming there. And then through like, I mean, working at the salon. I mean, we could go on and on and on, where like transformation is the focus of what we're doing, no matter what we're doing. And all of a sudden we start to align with newer echoes and expressions of how we're supposed to do it. It's like when you're sweeping the floor, I'm like clearing out energy over here. Thank you for that gathering. Sweeping it out, let the door. Whew, blessing moving forward, you know. Or like when we're washing the, I always use the example, washing dishes, cleaning of the temple, and cleaning this, thank you to this bowl for the way that you were able to carry all the food that was shared. I've been doing it more and more. Every time I'm washing dishes, I see it as a way to like clean myself out and clean the temple. And like all of a sudden we fall in love with washing dishes. And all of a sudden we start to notice like, oh wow, like maybe I want to be a potter, you know, like I love these dishes and I want to like make something like that. And then you're like washing the dishes, cleansing the self through the washing, and you start to notice something that's like connected to the fulfillment of the purpose. Maybe you want to be a potter because the spirit of the potter is in every pot. Or like if you're like sweeping, you're cleaning this temple and the space, and then you're like, oh, maybe I want to serve this like class, the school. I don't want to like help tend to the school. But the intentional relationship of transformation through anything and everything we're doing helps to clear out the vessel so that our purpose work can reveal itself. It's like this interesting like dynamic in our journey of becoming, because it changes. So it's like we're always in the purpose of transformation, and the expression of it evolves. Okay, so that's the next thing. And then it's also referencing, it's good for all of us to strengthen ourselves in what ritual is. What is a ritual? How do rituals work? How do we serve in ritual? One of the things that we, in our sweat lodge today, my husband told me, I was out with my son at that time, but Federico said, he's a medicine man. He said, spiritual, the ritual to care for the spirit. I was like, what? That like never crossed my mind. He does like, you spiritual, the ritual to care for the spirit, tend to the spirit, honor the sacred. So the board wants to really support us in strengthening our studies and our training and rituals, whatever they are, whatever draws us forward. Get to know it. Like, what does a ritual actually mean? In the old ancient Egyptian traditions, this is what humans were here to do. In the old tradition, our job was to tend to the relations of the natural world and the divine world, and to like create bonding ceremonies, to bond and like build relations together and tend. And it was the job of the humans to do that. So this is that. Okay, now we're going to move a little bit faster. I'm always saying that. Okay, moving forward. Black tourmaline. How many minutes do I have per tool now? 7, 28, 29. Okay, I'm moving into 2 minutes per tool, 2 to 3 minutes. Okay, cool. All right. Black tourmaline saying, if there's any part of you that has forgotten that you are a star, you are made of the stars, the dust of the stars, you are made of the earth. Now is your time to remember that. And in that way, part of it is because aligning with our divine purpose is connecting to us, letting ourselves be a vehicle for our relations in the cosmos and of the natural world, so that we can attune to what it is, the ways that we're meant to do that. And the way that helps us align with our divine purpose is letting ourselves be seen in it, you know, and like noticing what's coming up as we're letting ourselves be seen in it, in whatever it is as it's transforming. So this is a really good practice. With your legs straight out, like, you know, you come back, legs like this, and then you step out like a star, like a pentagram. With your, you know, I'd be standing technically. 5 times. 5 times. You just do this 5 times to remember yourself as a star. And then this calls forward the faith, the undying like faith, and the clarity of the faith of how we're meant to steward our purpose. Strengthens the faith, our trust in the divine, to then support the vehicle being a channel for it. Strengthens our faith, our trust in the divine, so we can be a vehicle for the divine to align in divine purpose. I've never heard that from the board. I like that. Okay, so clear out whatever you need to for that. And then also in the mind, the board saying, do things, rituals and practices to clear the mind. The mind, clear the mind, all thoughts, just consistently. Like that's like a light work. We say, instead of homework, we say light work. Clearing the mind, rituals and practices are only useful. Also grief rituals. Okay, 2 minutes moving forward. All right, now we're gonna move to Ruby. 1, 2. Okay. The part of the prosper, there's a prosperous perspective. There's almost like a revival of the Holy Father. Patriarchy's coming down. And part of what's going to help us really embody and honor the elementals is like acknowledging the organizing principles of creation, how they work, getting to know how they work. Because it's part of this like coming down of the patriarchy dynamics are connected to not understanding the like blueprints of creation and the cosmological teachings of the holy elements of life, and the blueprints of other cosmologies, which is the Father in its holy nature in one context of like how things come into organization with how, you know, what comes of the water, how we are like grow in the water in the womb. We are basically mer people, you know, drink like living in water. We're raised in the water. We come out with the water and we come behind the water. It's like the getting to know how creation creates itself is the Holy Father principles, where there's an exaltation of how things come into structure and organization that then assist us into our service work. And there's like a birthing of that too, you know, like the part of what we're collectively birthing is a deeper understanding of how creation creates itself, and then coming more into alignment of how creation creates itself so that we create in relationship with how creation creates itself. We're like collaborating, and collaboration moves beyond just humans. It's collaboration with the holy natural spirit beings of the natural world and then the cosmic realms. And then, okay, so moving forward, the other thing the board wants to say is like we're grounding our understanding of how the holy elements of creation, the wisdom of creation principles, we deepen to understand them so we can embody them, live by them, move from with them, and be a vehicle for these creation principles to create through us and play us like an instrument. Part of embodying the elementals is getting to know them and hanging out with them. Oh, you want to get friends and treat the elementals that way. We honor the elementals that way. Okay, part of the path moving forward is definitely connected to the rose medicine. Rose medicine means so many things. You know, some reference it as like the higher vibrational qualities of one of the high vibrational master beings in the plant world and the flowering world, you know, has thorns and has flowers, the fragrance that opens up our nature. I don't know a single person, I have not met a single person to this day that is not filled up by the scent and the smell of a rose, you know, or by somebody giving a rose to you. And part of what we're collectively birthing is the like medicine that is that the spirit, the essence, the quintessence of the rose. That feeling that is like sensual. It's graceful. That's like we're an unfurling of blossoming. Part of what we're birthing is this like blossoming consciousness where we're just connected to our becoming and we're serving this continual blossoming, this continual opening in awe and wonder and becoming with the holy elements of life and our own imagination. You know, we're like, well, what, you know, like love, what is love? You know, love means so many things. Love is everything, you know? So in this context, it's referencing the path moving forward is spirit. Oh, spiritually, we have a little fire alarm going off with the smoke. That's probably a sign of like, ring, 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 that. Okay. Part of what the path moving forward is referencing is calling in and connecting to the movement of the rose that is the planet Venus, that it moves in its cycles around the earth. There's a story of Venus in the cosmos, in the sky, and the story of Venus in relationship to the earth and how Venus moves around the earth. It makes a rose in the sky. And what is the story of Venus in relationship to who we are? There's a lot of teachings in the mystery tradition around this. And part of what we're collectively birthing a relationship in, with what it means to be caring for the Holy Feminine Spirit, the path of the Holy Feminine Spirit, the Holy Mother, stewards for this work. At the very least, just bring roses to the altar, no matter what it is. Like it can be a rose oil, a roses, rose medicine, rose tea, rose whatever. At the very least, bring rose to the altar. That's part of the path moving forward. Okay, ancestors. We're moving in 2 minutes for reading. Thank you, Madeline. Part of what the ancestors want to reference, kind of from the beginning of what the reading said about like sending this healing energy to the lines and back. The ancestors want to reference that, you know, part of expanding is doing the like healing work in our ancestry lines, our bloodlines. And this is going to help with what we're collectively birthing. Part of what we're collectively birthing is we're turning on, repairing, restoring, renewing, remembering, reviving, regenerating, realizing how interdependent everything is. And that also the healing and transformation and clearing of our ancestry assists in the legacies that we're bringing forward and the destinies that we call forward. Like, we're collectively birthing like healing and transformation from our ancestry, our bloodlines. We're returning on our DNA. Any place of our body that was like calcified or turned off, we're turning it on. Now, let's say you don't know your ancestry because maybe you were adopted, you know, you don't know where you come from. Doesn't mean you need to like necessarily go do 23andMe or ancestry.com. You can, but it's even just like sending this healing energy back into the lines. It's so that we can like collectively birth and we can stand up and stand for where we come from and then be unified with like 10,000 ancestors behind us. And so we're in a circle of like 20 people today, or however many people are here. And then the 10,000 ancestors behind us, we're like online together. You know, we're like 144,000 strong, birthing a new culture that stands for liberation and peace amongst all nations, amongst all people, amongst all bloodlines, amongst all stories. We stand for liberation and peace together. And the healing happens between the lines. This is a big part of it with our ancestors. Yeah, please.
I asked this question about what we are collectively birthing. I'm 7 months pregnant, and my baby has guided me to do a lot of ancestral healing and healing work with the rose.
Oh my gosh. The blessing that in the chat of like the baby is guided to do a lot of healing energy with the rose. Yay. Incredible. I'm glad you asked that question. Hey, your baby's teaching us right now. Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. The key to help this like turning, right? We have three inquiries, just to repeat. How can we best honor and embody the elementals at the summer solstice? We went through a lot of that already. How can we align with our divine purpose? How are we collectively birthing at this time? And also to the person that asked about partner being vital and healthy. I just want to honor that. I'm seeing this moment right now. One of the things is, I don't know the partner story, but the board just wants to support like maybe collective prayer. I don't know what you guys have already been doing on this journey, but to particularly like the Holy Mother and the prayers from the feminine mother, the feminine energy, praying for the health and vitality of this being and this person. The board just wants to propose that at this time with words, prayers with words, where like clearly speaking words of prayer, like songs and mantras over the body, over the person in the spirit like this. Okay, so part of the key that the board wants to reference 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The board wants to acknowledge that what we choose to read, what we choose to say, what we choose to welcome in to our consciousness, how we choose to be a vehicle for what we welcome into our consciousness is really important to pay attention to. And to bring more of the like, you know, we think of the more traditional Catholic sense in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Like, who's the Holy Spirit? You know, the Mother. We always say this, like the Father, the Son, like the sun in the sky, and the Mother. Part of the key moving forward is like reviving the matriarch energy in our bloodlines and our relationships and our communities. You know, the grandmothers of the grandmother energy, like reviving, supporting, feeling the prayers of our grandmothers, the prayers of the mother energy, communing with the Holy Mother of Life. We talk a lot about this in the altar too, like the one deity, divinity that seemingly is the most popular and deeply respected all over the world is Mother Mary. You know, like cultures and traditions protected themselves behind her. People like call upon her in the darkest hour. She's like revered, has so many names all over the world, the Holy Mother, Mary. And it's like this communion, like a part of our purpose in this time is to like attune into the revival of the matriarch. Now, doesn't necessarily mean a female bodied person. It's like the consciousness of the matriarch. in different forms, and getting to know that, and then like to help bring balance in the world. We feel this to bring harmony, to help bring true sacred union and Hieros Gamos into the world. And it's also referencing too that like in the ritual of the spirit, you know, spiritual, I just love this. I'm like so in love with this. I just learned this morning. And the ritual of the spirit, tending to the spirit in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. It's like, well, who's this, you know? You know, like, and we feel that, you know, judge, we're like in the dark, a dark night of the soul, which we all have experienced. If you haven't yet, you will. Like it's part of our transition and the dark, you know, usually sometimes like the holy water just blesses us and like cleanses us and wakes us up to like the preciousness of life and the gratitude of life, or the grace of the whole manner shines down on us and within us. They go together, you know. And the other thing that the board wants to say, and then I want to acknowledge we have 2 more tools and then we close here, is like practice with the moon cycles of tracking our prayers. And sometimes I'm fully on it, sometimes I fall off, but I'm back on it again. And this is a really simple practice to really support us in our divine purpose work. And it's a way to work with the holy elements of life and to embody them and to support this time of birthing. So the really simple practice, we call upon the spirit of the tobacco, where we work with a little bit of tobacco, a pinch, you know, doesn't need to be much. A lot goes a long way. On the new moon, what is the prayer for your life and the prayer for the collective? You know, it's like, you know, like what is the prayer for self and what is the prayer for the collective, your local, like personal, local, collective, the personal, the local, and the global. And then for the 2-week period from the new moon to the full moon, notice when you laid that prayer down, what happens, you know, how you're tending to these prayers you laid down, like what is happening. And then the full moon tomorrow, celebrating the manifestation of these prayers, or celebrating the fact that you even made a prayer with that kind of intention, with the personal, the local, and the collective. Celebrating that you even did that. Celebrating the attention towards the prayers that were laid. And noticing the proliferation of them in some form. It's a way to like experience and exalt the like acknowledgement of creation creating itself with us and through us. And then after it goes full, and then it starts its waning process, reflecting on what we learned. What did we learn when we laid that prayer down on the new moon for the personal, local, and collective birthing? And how do we celebrate it? And how do we want to like strengthen that or deepen in that or like tend to that? And now it might be like a prayer for a car. Maybe it's like a material thing, but it could be like a vehicle to like support me in my journey of tending to a sacred way of life. You know what I mean? And then this is like a tracking process. Every new moon, every full moon, every new moon, every full moon, every new moon, every full moon. You know, new moon, the waxing, witnessing, paying attention, noticing how the prayer is expressing itself through our tending. The full moon, celebrating the work that we did. And then the waning from full to new moon, tracking, noticing, studying, cultivating, like reflecting, feedback, you know, of self for that moment when you're going to lay the next prayer down the next new moon. Part of the key the board wants to offer, and this is working with the elements too. You're working with the cycles of the moon. And you can work with different, the fire and the water and with tobacco and some soil. You can work with actual elements, but it's like also like being part of what's being collectively birthed too. You know, like in a lot of the prophecies, it's like, here we are, chose to be born at this time of transition. So what are we going to do? How are we going to do this? What destinies are we aligning with and calling forward? This is the place of the great mystery, where the great unknowingness is the birthplace for everything emergent. This is the time of emergence. Part of what we're collectively birthing is emerging in the nowness of our attention towards it, listening and paying attention. So that's what the key is. Sekhmet, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 6. She's saying that during the time of summer solstice, which is like the most amount of light, in this hemisphere. If some are watching this from the winter solstice hemisphere, it's the least amount of light. But this particular hemisphere, she's in this also for winter, but specifically the response. It would be great in the next 6 days, particularly in the mind and then in the word, make offerings of sweetness to your entire mother line, the matriarch line, like mom, grandma, great grandma, great great grandma, great 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 grandma, the whole line of the female mother line, all the way back to the first water that birthed humanity, period, through the first female, or like womb, through the first womb, like the entire line back to the original womb that we came from. Offerings of sweetness. These offerings of sweetness support this process of birthing. Because birthing, what are we collectively birthing, is connected to the waters of the womb of the cosmos. So these offerings of sweetness to the human experience of birthing, the holy waters of life, the offerings to what we're collectively birthing assists in the birthing process. And you can do this to the water, like, lake or a river, the ocean, to the bubbling spring. It can be offerings of like actual sweet, or it can be like sweet words, sweet songs, just sweetness and strengthening thyself and being seen in our sweetness. And the board's also like for the next 3 to 6, or next 6 days, what is like sweet, like what's sweet in life, like what feels like just, oh man, that's so sweet, like in-body experience, drench ourselves in the feeling of sweetness as a form of activism, because of the amount of grief and intensity that we are experiencing on the earth and in our relations with other humans and other more than humans, 4-legged, 2-legged, the oceans, you name it. The cultivation of sweetness, the sweet water, the sweetness brings forward the adoration to so that the force comes alive, and then from that sweetness that helps us align with our divine work, that then helps with the birthing process to support this next cycle of emergence. Because what we're collectively birthing has a few options. And where our attention goes collectively, our priorities, our habits, and our decisions call forward particular future timeline. Finally, Lilith. Well, it's like whole board is like Holy Mother. I feel like the last 6 months, it's all Holy Mother stuff. She's like, train in ritual work, ceremonial work, whatever style you are called to. Train to caretake the rituals of the spirit, the rituals of the sacred, the rituals of the heart of the fire, the heart of the water, the heart of the earth, the heart of the air, the wind, the rituals of the Holy Mother, the rituals of the holy waters of life, whatever it is. Study and train how to commune with the sacred as a way of life, how to commune with the sacred in everything, always, all the time. In whatever form, whatever path calls us forward towards it. And we see it, we'll get like a spark. Oh, this person appears, or like this ritual appears, or this ceremony appears, or this like, it just like pop, you know. But the board wants to also, and the board also wants to reference like a focus. You know, like sometimes in this world of infinite opportunities, there's infinite opportunities. And like having like a focus, that a few that we really go deep in. So we understand how to embody the elements in a deep way from a particular pathway, a path that has been laid before us, so that we become, like my Kuma Ramsey says, the way of. We follow, we study on the path so that we can become the way of, becomes the way. Frankincense is a good one, everybody. Just going to offer some frankincense. And all right, this is what the board has to tell us today. I just want to say thank you to the holy ones, to the directions in the three worlds, to each and every one of our benevolent, elevated ancestors, our guides, our allies, our holy guardian angels, our highest councils. And in that way, too, the ancestral homelands that are gathered here today on the summer solstice. Thank you to the sun, the outpouring of the light. Also to all the children today. May everything that was shared here be useful, be helpful, be practical, be beneficial, be of great service to each and every one of us. And in that way, may it assist, as always, into the liberation of all beings, human and more than human, healing anything that needs to be healed and repaired from our past, with genuine offerings in this present moment to create more beauty for infinite generations into the future. Blessed be, and so it is. Yay, thank you. All right, everyone, and Mariah, thank you all so much. May what was shared here be useful, beneficial, and practical. You'll have this recording. May it integrate with ease and grace, and may it serve each and every one of us in our relations and our paths moving forward.
Thank you so much, Isis. What a beautiful offering and blessing. Thank you to everyone who has tuned in and been part of this beautiful prayer and connection. Solstice blessings to everyone.
Happy solstice.
Yay.